Good, Preeti. Thank you for your time today. And let's get started on what others can learn from your journey. I just want to set the context here, Preeti, because there has been a victim, Preeti, at one point in time due to circumstances, and you're now becoming a warrior who has now conquered your own mind, I would say. And now you're in this journey of being a caregiver and becoming a ruler perhaps in the space that you're operating in into the future. So I want to use this time to see how one can discover one's inner greatness. So whatever be the external circumstances, but how could one discover the inner greatness to move forward in life? That's what I want to use this next 30 minutes together. And would it be all right if I went forward with some questions asking you, Preeti?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So take us through your journey, Preeti, of all your battles between what I call as emotions and reason, right? There would have been a battle. So could you give me some insight there?
Emotions rule when trauma happens, right?
Correct.
For the first 18 years of my life was charmed. Not even the shadow of failure ever touched it. So everything was so good that, I didn't know anything else.
Correct.
So when suddenly I was faced with a life-altering condition, it was something that an 18-year-old couldn't really understand or absorb.
Correct.
So the thing to do was, like Hakuna Matata, if the world turns its back on you, you turn your back on the world. So I tried to reject my circumstance. I tried to say that this is not happening to me, that I don't deserve it, that it should not be happening in my world. Why me? How can this happen to me?
Correct.
So then the logic came from my father, which was very cool, very, very evolved. And it said, so what's the big deal? Your body is not cooperating with you. And if it's not cooperating at this time, it might not cooperate 50 years from now.
Correct.
Right? Everybody's body is going to stop cooperating on some level at some point.
Correct.
So why don't you take this, that you have been given something on advanced mode? And why don't you go within yourself and try to find that within you that can't be taken away by circumstance?
Correct. Correct.
So that was the trigger point that led me to a journey that at the end of it allowed me to understand, like you say, at some point I was a victim of circumstance. And then I became a victor of circumstance when I understood that my circumstance need not define me.
Correct. Beautiful. So I know it's not easy what happened at 18 and today where you are, right? There could have been, so were there any key inflection stories in this journey, Preeti?
Oh, yes, absolutely. It has been an extremely steep learning curve. There's no doubt about that. Not a day goes by that's not a challenge. I have gone through situations of utter helplessness when my mother used to get chest pain and I'm not able to do anything about it. When my father passed away and I wasn't able to go and be there with him in the hospital. So there are a lot of challenges, no doubt. But the trigger point, basically the main one that started Soulfree, was that at some point after my father, he was only 57. He was our rock. He was our connection with the external world, and he was my best friend. And overnight, he suffered a heart attack, and the next afternoon, he was gone. So we were in a situation where we had no income. We didn't know what to do with the outside world. My mother didn't know how to sign a check. We didn't know what kind of financial bag, the support system my father had left me. We basically knew nothing.
Correct.
And from that point, how to slowly rebuild each brick by brick. It was like building a true reinvention of your identity and your way of life. So it was very difficult. And there came a point in time when my mother needed a quintuple bypass. It was a 7-hour surgery that, at that point, I suddenly faced a situation where I had no caregiver. So how was I going to get from the wheelchair to the bed? How was I going to eat? How was I going to have a bath? I mean, most people take these things for granted, right?
Correct.
None of us are fighting for survival. We are fighting for achievements. We are fighting for money. We are fighting for ambitions. But
Correct.
nobody knows how vulnerable people get when your very life is at stake.
Correct.
So from that point, it was a very, very vulnerable stage of my life when my mother was going through this really life-threatening surgery. And my father's friends came up to me and said, well, what if there comes a time when your family is not there to support you?
Mm.
And I did all the research I could on Google, and I found that for a woman in my condition, even if I can pay, there is almost no place to go and live in with dignity.
Correct. Correct.
So at that point, my mother said, you be the change. I have faith in you. And I said, Ma, what are you talking about?
Correct.
I'm not even able to take care of myself. I'm not able to find caregivers for myself.
Correct.
How am I going to help others?
Correct.
I've had no connection with the outside world for over a decade.
Correct.
I don't know how it is to talk diplomatically. I just say what I'm thinking.
Correct.
And I don't know anything about the law. I don't know anything about accounts. I don't know anything about what it means to run an institution. I can't do this.
Correct.
But all these were excuses. In truth, what was driving me was fear of failure, fear that I would start something and fail in it.
True.
And in the 3 months it took us, we stayed for 3 months for my mother's bypass, and thank God, she's fine. And by the time we moved to Tiruvannamalai, 2 paralyzed girls I knew, they were paralyzed below the waist. They could do cooking, they could clean the house, they were doing everything they could do. But they were told that they are a shame and a burden on the family, that they're a curse. And because they are around, nobody is willing to marry their brother.
Correct.
So day in and day out, their soul was killed, and they were given a bottle of poison to drink, and they drank it and died. So that was like a slap on my face. And I said, if I'm going to be afraid to stop speaking now, if I'm going to be afraid to be the change, then I'm part of the problem.
Correct.
And I could not be that. So that's where Soul Free happened.
Beautiful, beautiful. That kind of now has, I would say, is your larger purpose, right, Preeti?
That's right. Soul Free has set my soul free, and I'm using that to help set other souls free so that they may live with dignity and purpose.
Beautiful. Now, I read somewhere about you where you said you had a spiritual awakening.
That's right.
Tell me more about it, because that's the space many people are afraid to, they laugh at it when you say intuition. It's not really, logic seems to have taken a far ahead, map with people rather than intuition, right? How did this spiritual awakening transform you? Throw some light, Preeti.
Actually, I think it's tragic that our education teaches us everything about the external world to map and assess numbers and whatnot, but it never teaches us how to assess ourselves.
Correct.
Where am I? Why am I acting this way? What is the connection between my thought process and what I'm doing? What are my short-term goals? None of it is actually taught in a proper way.
Correct.
So most of us are emotionally and spiritually disconnected from ourselves. Correct. So I feel that it was actually a blessing that I was thrown back, forced to go into a body that is not working. So I need not concentrate on a body that is not supporting further external world activities. So I can go within and find out what ticks within me. Who am I?
Correct.
If I'm not this body, then who am I?
Correct.
What have I lost by losing control over this body? It's nothing but my illusions.
Correct.
Other than my thought that I have control over everything, I've not lost anything. And it's actually a wonderful thing to lose that illusion, isn't it?
Correct. Absolutely, absolutely. It's like the false reality that we tend to nurture and fail to recognize the core, right?
Right. So through two near-death experiences at various junctures in my life, where I found that all my fear was gone. Whenever I go and speak at schools and colleges, I tell people that, hey, when you Google what are the two greatest fears that people have, the first one happens to be public speaking,
Correct.
and the second one happens to be death.
Death.
And I think the third one is taxes, and I can't comment on that. But the first two, I tell them I have nothing to be afraid of because I've been there, done that, and it doesn't scare me anyway.
Correct. Correct. Beautiful.
So I have nothing to lose and everything to gain in this. Each moment I'm here on this planet, I think is a blessing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And there is it's sad that we abled bodies or anybody otherwise always have this connection to fear of something. Every moment you could be a CEO and with all the glory sitting in an organization, but still there is fear. You could be leading a nation and there is fear, right? So there is something about fear that human beings have a fear about. And
right.
and that's as you said, the journey cannot go for conquering that externally, right? It has to be internal and your own realization. That's the truth.
Yes, I have a quote. Really, it's an experiential learning that true success is not that person who has everything, because that person has everything to lose, but one who needs nothing. And in this moment, I need nothing to be happy.
Correct. Beautiful. Well said, Preeti. Now, this takes me to ask, how can Preeti become like a Stephen Hawking?
Actually, I didn't understand that question because I'm not a physicist. I don't understand anything about physics. And I'm not so much into Playboy either. So
this is all about finding, look, now you have Soul Free.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how do you grow that to the extent, let's say he got a Nobel Prize for finding something, right? So let's look at it that way. Now, how would that journey be, Preeti?
Yes. So in that sense, our way of expanding is going to be twofold. One, which was already happening, actually threefold, and all through Soul Free. The first one is the first phase of our operations has been outreach operations, which is for the last 8 years we've been supporting people with spinal cord injury who are facing a lifetime of paralysis, lead a life of dignity and purpose. So whatever they need, whether it's financial support, whether it's mobility aids, whether it's medical care, we're helping them so that they may lead a life of dignity and purpose and become as self-reliant as they can be. For example, we helped one person who knew nothing except farming and came to us for a 1,000 rupee monthly stipend because he had no income. We helped him set up an acre where he could do agriculture. And in the first year alone, he had grown more than 100 sacks of rice and earned more than 1,00,000 rupees and is today employing 10 to 20 people.
Beautiful.
So this is our outreach program, which will continue. But now we are starting what we are thinking is one of India's first Inspire centers, integrated spinal rehabilitation centers in a 20,000 square feet facility in the old GH compound of Tiruvannamalai, which will provide self-reliance training. We will provide them with medical treatment. We will give them a reason to live by giving them art and music and everything they need to feel alive and happy. And we will also give them vocational rehabilitation to become financially self-sufficient when they leave our facility. So this is a kind of rehabilitation and research facility in the holistic management of spinal cord injury, of which we don't know any others in India.
Beautiful, wonderful.
But even this is not our final and ultimate goal. The way, I can't compare myself with a person like Stephen Hawking, but whatever he's given to the world in terms of physics, maybe I can do in impacting people's lives and their hearts, and give them, spread love, light, laughter in this world, which is my motto.
Yeah.
So the ultimate goal of Soul Free is to ensure that nobody is forced to commit suicide because of a physical condition they have no control over.
Correct.
So our ultimate goal is to start an inclusive village. We are calling it the Soul Free Shambhala village, which will provide hope, happiness, inclusion, and a way for them to live a life of dignity and purpose. Because that word dignity, you will find it being repeated a lot in what I say, because that is the thing that seems to have no value in India. And for us, it means the most.
Correct.
Just a space that is not even accessible, and I'm being carried. I'm being humiliated.
Correct.
Can't I have the dignity of a ram? Is that too much to ask?
Correct.
So that's where we are coming from. We want to create a village where nobody has to ask for a ram, that everything is universally accessible, a place where people in wheelchair, we will have sustainable businesses running in that space, where people in wheelchair will be employed and they will feel that their life has meaning, and they will be able to live there without the fear of being pushed to commit suicide, without the fear of being abandoned. This is our ultimate goal. And honestly speaking, I don't know if there is a place like that anywhere in the world. So we are doing something pioneering, and we need all the support we can get.
Correct. Now tell me, Preeti, how should organizations and individuals contribute to this?
The best way would be to go to our website, www.soulfree.org. You can read all about our projects there. And if you feel so inclined, you can make contributions, monetary contributions, as well as you can register yourself as a volunteer and support us in any way. See, what we need is people with love and, who value us. We will have people in our center to whom nobody has looked them in the eye.
Correct.
Just sit with us, come and talk to us, play a game of chess with us, teach us an instrument, read to us, watch a movie with us. That's all. That will make us come back to life. And in that friendship, you will also gain something.
Absolutely.
So we want a lot of community-based activities. Even now, we are doing a gift box donation drive for more than 700 people. Each of them will be receiving more than 43 items that are their essential medical items. And we need help in the packaging.
Wonderful.
So all the procurements are done. So any number of things, we can use all the help we can get. If you are an occupational therapist, if you're a physiotherapist, if you're somebody in the medical field, we need your help. If you can teach dance, if you can teach Zumba, we need your help. Anything.
I'm raising my hands. I've been a classical dancer for 35 years, Preeti, and I want to contribute. So I'll go into your website and see how it is. But anyways, we'll stay in touch to see how much we can contribute to this, Preeti.
I would love that. Only thing, you have to sit in a wheelchair and make it adaptive.
Correct. It teaches, I remember, this was about 2 years back. One of my friends referred me to teach. So there's something called Make the Change Foundation here in Singapore. And she said, I've been doing this, Priya, and I'm relocating to Philippines. I'm going to introduce your name to them. And whenever they reach out, you'll have to do. And I said, very well, I'll be very happy to do it. It's anything for a cause. And then they reached out to me and they said, look, there is a cohort of students who have to build their personal brand. They're going through a content marketing course with us, and they're all specially abled, and you will have to run a course. And I said, very well. And I agreed to it. And the day before the course, they said, you want to come to the premises? And it just then struck me that in a normal environment, you don't go and check the premises before you go to a corporate to teach them or do anything, right? So I said, I visited the premises, and that's when I understood the gravity of it's going to be 80% blind in my cohort will be, and the remaining 20% is either with cerebral palsy or they've got a stroke it hit me that whatever I have prepared for teaching them, and these classes were going to be 7 to 10 in the night. And whatever I've prepared for them for the next 2-3 months, I have to completely revamp overnight, because it didn't strike to me that how am I going to communicate with people who can't see, or people who can't hear and speak. I didn't understand it. But that journey, Preeti, for those 3 months in 2019 was a beautiful journey. And later I had the opportunity to employ one of them in our organization for personal branding, because most people in those jobs, they're given a data entry job. They're into accounting or something where their creative abilities are not able to come out. So she came into our organization and she was able to discover something better. So I'm able to relate to what you're saying, and you'll have to really transform yourself to get that connection.
Right.
Wonderful, wonderful. So now, Preeti, this is good to hear about what we can all contribute. And I'm certainly going to see how we can do an outreach to contribute to your course. So that's something we'll definitely see. But tell me something, Preeti. What are some of these struggles that people do not appreciate?
The struggle is, unless two people are there to help me, I can't get out of bed.
Correct.
Unless my 70-year-old mother is sitting next to me, I can't brush my teeth. I can't wear my clothes. I can't have a bath. Correct. And I'm not able to give her a retirement. Correct. Because there are hardly any trained caregivers, and those who are prohibitively expensive. And there are so many ways that one of the things we want to do is start caregiver training for people from other marginalized segments of society, and people through whom we can not only have trained caregivers, but we can also give them a livelihood and give them a reason to live. So there are a lot of things, but basically sometimes you feel like you're in a battle that you can never win, because what I can do in this lifetime, I'll still be just touching the tip of the iceberg. Correct. And I want everybody, see, that's the thing. It's all about impact. How many lives can you impact? Correct. And in 8 years, I've been able to impact 1,000 lives, but I want to impact 100,000 of lives. Correct. It's not because it's an ambition. It's because I know that 35 people have died because of bed sores in the last 6 months, and I have failed because I've not been able to save their lives. Correct. So there is a boy whom I can tell you, he's very, very smart, very, very enterprising youngster who also had an accident just like mine, and we really connected. He would do mimicry, he would sing. He was such a wonderful young man. Correct. But he was living in a terrible circumstance in that his father was abusive. He had only his mother, and they were living in a tent in the corner of a temple. And one day, his father basically harassed his mother to an extent where they had only one fan, and he was lying in a bed under that fan. So she stood up on that bed and hung herself. And this guy is a quadriplegic. He's paralyzed below the neck, and he's screaming for help. And even as his mother hangs herself, he's not able to do anything. Can you imagine the vulnerability, the absolute helplessness of that? By the time people came, she was really injured. So this fellow calls me, is crying to me saying, I want to die. I'm willing to donate all my organs, but let me die. So I said, just wait, I'm going to do something for you. And I found a place in a rehabilitation center for him. And then he blossomed so beautifully because he was able to talk to people. He suddenly had physiotherapists who were coming from abroad and all that. But then once he came back home, he was in the same circumstance. And couple of months back, during this COVID phase, he passed away. He's less than 30 years old. Correct. I feel that I'm failing each time I lose these lives. And that's what I want to change. And I want the whole world to know about this because nobody deserves this.
Correct, correct. Absolutely, Preeti. I think it It is a responsibility that we have to start giving back and giving back in multi-folds, because there's so much of need. And it is, if you're living in this world, let's do something meaningful, right? Rather than question doing things that are that of course life goes on, you need both aspects of life, but every time you do something that side, you'll have to see whether you're doing something this side, this end of the polarity as well, right? So it's a responsibility, I should say, Preeti, and I want to see how many more people can come together for such causes, as well as for such initiatives. It's not only money, but it's time, effort, voluntary nature, as you say. So it's not just about monetary resources that can make a difference. It's also about the quality of people whom we can evolve for the ecosystem to thrive. So it's not just the idea, but it's the ecosystem that needs to thrive.
Right.
Wonderful. Now, Preeti, how has time been approached by you? Because you know that in your circumstance, the way you look at time would be much different than how we look. So how are you looking at time, Preeti?
Time is perhaps the most valuable resource, because once it's gone, there's nothing you can do about it.
Correct.
But my association with time is that I know that I should not even be here, because I was dead for 8 minutes.
Correct.
Right? And after 30 seconds, I think everybody knows that when the brain doesn't get oxygen, it starts to die, and the cells just start to die away. And even if you come out of it, you come out with brain damage and all those things.
Correct.
But the fact that I'm here with most of my brain cells still seemingly intact,
Correct.
it means that I've been given a task.
Correct.
So I feel that I'm very close to God, and I'm like God's in his knight in shining armor kind of thing. So every minute I'm here, I want to impact lives. I want to make people love and spread love in the world, light and laughter and positivity. And I want to show the world that each of us are positively abled. Even those who are walking around feel that they can't do this, that, or the other thing.
Correct.
And there are many people who are facing fears and different kinds of emotional and psychological issues that they are not even able to speak about, because when we look at them, they don't see any difference.
Correct.
So we are judging people every day, and I wish that would stop, because each of us are unique. And if we just love each other just the way we are and stop this stigma,
correct,
and say that you are less than me, I am more than you, what a waste of time.
Correct.
So this is what I want to do. I want to spend my life giving just love, light, and laughter, and trying to impact as many lives as I can on this planet. And actually, for Soul Free, everything, my life is for Soul Free.
Correct.
And I'm its slave, and a very willing slave. And I start working at 9 o'clock in the morning, and it doesn't start. It stops till 10 at night, So till there is breath in this body will serve. That's it.
Correct. Beautiful, Preeti. I don't think we should ask anything further, because this sums it all up. And I want to say thank you for taking the time to sharing all of these, I would say, insights, information that you have, and connecting it, right? So it's good, and it's a responsibility on people this side to contribute more. And it becomes, I would say, no one person is going to make it all, right? But I'm sure we'll add a drop to the ocean there. So I hope through this interview and through this connection that we both had, I hope something emerges.
Yeah, the number of people who come to know about our work, correct, if they can just go and see. We have no expectations. I just want people to know what Soul Free is doing, and they can engage as much or as little as they want.
Correct. And what you said beautifully at one point resonated with me. It's actually not physically abled and specially abled. It's actually positively abled and negatively abled. Those are the two kinds of people, right? We don't really, all the other things are all just manifestations, but the intent is what matters.
Yes, I think each of us are positively able, because all of us have, positive strength qualities, and we have our own weaknesses. So in that, in that single word, we remove various labels. There can be just one for everyone. And that's what I thought was very special about that one. And it also focuses on the one thing that I feel is the most important in the world, because I want to tell everyone who listens that there might be stages in your life where you feel you can't, whether you can't pass an exam, where you're afraid to be in a relationship, whatever it may be, we feel that we can't. But the thing that I have learned in these 22 years of being a quadriplegic, that is that life is not about all the things you cannot do. Life is about what you choose to do with what you can do. And that's what I'm doing.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well said, Preeti. And with that, I want to thank you so much. And let's stay in touch and let's see how much we can contribute and multiply the impact, Preeti.
Yes, I would very much love that.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much, Preeti. You take care, enjoy the rest of the day and continue giving your energy and spirit to Soul Free. And I think well said, it's not just one day for you, it is the lifetime that you've dedicated, right? And we have to respect that.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy.
Thank you so much, Preeti. Thank you. Yeah. All the best. Take care.